My name's John Manzella, and I'm an author, speaker, and president and CEO of Manzella Trade Communications. What is the biggest takeaway of my presentation today? Well, there's dozens of trends and a number of critical issues that are putting upward and downward pressure on the economy. So a very important point for the business audience is to really pay attention to the trends, because if you understand what the impact has been, you can then take those trends and project them forward, and it gives you a better idea of what's ahead. It's a much more accurate forecast than looking into a crystal ball. So today's presentation, we looked at a dozen trends that impact economic growth, a number of trends and critical issues that increase risks. The best strategy, I believe, would be to work with our allies, the Canadians, the Mexicans, the Europeans, our friends in Asia, and coordinate a cohesive strategy and a response where together we put pressure on the Chinese to change behavior. And I think that is more likely to work and benefit all of us in the long run. What is the impact on labor? What are the trends in labor? A major trend underway is this. We've incurred a skills deficit for quite some time. And as the unemployment level continues to decrease, this skills deficit will only become more severe at all levels, at the highest level, at the Silicon Valley level, at the R&D level, at the medium and the low level. And what we're seeing now is a skills shortage in all different areas. So I'm a proponent of increasing, not decreasing, immigration. Immigration is the lifeblood of America. And if you look, for example, at Silicon Valley, half of the lead technicians or CEOs are foreign-born. U.S. universities attract the best and the brightest that the world has to offer. We then educate those students and we send them home to compete against us. In my opinion, that's a failed immigration policy. We want students to come here, then stay once they graduate, invest, hire Americans, start new businesses. And very surprising to many, immigrants actually have lower incarceration rates than native-born Americans. They actually have higher entrepreneurial rates, and they start companies at faster paces than native-born Americans. So of course you've got gangs and things like that you'd like to keep out. And there's a lot of undocumented immigration that needs to be addressed. But overall, we need more immigrants, not fewer, and immigrants at all different skill levels. Or U.S. companies, if they can't find the skills they need, they can't grow. And if they can't grow, does that mean they've got to move to Bangalore, India, where skills exist? We want those companies to stay here and hire Americans and hire qualified immigrants so that they can grow, expand internationally, and generate wealth for the country. In terms of the window and door industry, any industry that uses aluminum will have a number of consequences to deal with. Tariffs, increased tariffs on aluminum will bump up the cost of aluminum. So a number of producers in the U.S. may do one of two things. They may identify other sources of supply around the world that aren't subject to these tariffs, which don't benefit American companies. It's another unintended consequence, but chances are, because the supply will decrease, the prices will increase. And we'll find that those prices will be passed on to consumers and industries. And what happens in these situations? Almost every case when tariffs are boosted up, consumers buy less, industries buy less, producers sell less, and it turns out they'll unemploy people. So they actually hurt those people that the policies are intended to help. So the bottom line is the aluminum and door manufacturers have to pay a great deal of attention day by day, hour by hour, on what's happening in Washington, and really reassess their supply chains and pay particular attention to this because it's volatile and the uncertainty can be damaging. I know that in the meantime, if you find a source of aluminum, companies have been hoarding it, and that's been driving up the price. So nobody really knows what's going to happen next, but the bottom line is they have to pay attention to events in Washington day by day, hour by hour, to stay ahead of the curve. Thank you very much for inviting me to the conference. Being here in beautiful sunny Lake Tahoe, California, it's heaven on earth. This was the most beautiful location. Thank you very much for inviting me.